When a foreign vice president starts using your country as a warning label, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, that's not a passing remark. That's a verdict. JD Vance wasn't in Britain. He wasn't speaking to British voters. But what he said landed harder on this country than anything said inside Westminster this week. And here's what makes it particularly striking. Keir Starmer didn't need to be in the room to take the hit. His record spoke for him, and it spoke loudly. Vance didn't attack Britain out of nowhere. He made a calculated public point that UK families are drowning in energy costs while their government tells them everything is fine. And he said it standing next to one of the most influential nationalist leaders in Europe. That's a stage, that's a message, and Starmer isn't equipped to respond to it.
I have some disagreements with the political leadership. In particular, why have the Europeans, while saying, by the way, that Russia is the biggest national security threat, why have the Europeans made themselves completely dependent on unreliable sources of energy? Like, if you think that Russia, an energy superpower, is the biggest threat, you should do everything in your power to make yourselves economically and energy dominant, like President Trump has done in the United States. Our European friends have done the exact opposite. If you look at the cost of electricity in the United Kingdom, which is way underinvested in their energy resources, UK families are paying 4 times, 5 times, 6 times what United States citizens are paying for electricity. Now, obviously, I care most about America's citizens. That's who I'm elected to represent. But isn't it a scandal that middle-class Brits, that people who are working hard and playing by the rules can't afford to heat their home, can't afford to transport themselves to work because their leadership has made energy so expensive? Isn't it a scandal that when normal people on the European continent try to talk about what's going on in their governments, they try to criticize their governments, they try to exercise their rights of free speech, those governments then go to American social media companies and say, you must censor the citizens of your own country?
Pay close attention to what Vance actually says here, because the specific numbers he uses and the direct comparison he draws aren't accidental. This is a politician who knows exactly what he's doing. Watch where he steers the argument and where it ends up. What you just heard wasn't a diplomatic slip. It was deliberate framing, and Britain was the chosen example for a reason. Vance drew a direct line between political leadership and economic suffering. 4 times, 5 times, 6 times the cost of American electricity. Those aren't vague criticisms. Those are prosecutorial figures delivered to an international audience. And the implication is brutal. Your government is failing you, and the rest of the world can see it even if you can't. But here's the layer most people won't notice. Vance wasn't just criticizing energy policy. He was constructing a broader political narrative, one where European governments, and the British government specifically, represent a model of managed decline. Expensive energy, suppressed speech, leaders who are insulated from the consequences of their own decisions, while ordinary working people absorb the damage. That narrative is gaining ground globally, and every time Britain gets name-checked in it, Starmer's positioning as a steady, serious, competent leader takes another quiet blow. Not from the opposition benches, but from the world stage itself. This isn't about JD Vance having strong opinions. It's about the fact that when powerful international figures reach for an example of what not to do, they're now reaching for us. That shift in how Britain is perceived internationally didn't happen by accident. It happened through a series of policy choices that are now impossible to hide behind domestic messaging. The Labour government can control the narrative at home to a degree. It cannot control what's being said about it in Budapest, Washington, or anywhere else where people are watching. Moments like this rarely get the analysis they deserve in the mainstream press. If you want to stay ahead of what's really happening in British politics, subscribe and you won't miss what matters.